Hello. كل عام وانتم بخير. Assalamu alaikum. Happy Ramadan. This presentation is going to be in English. For English-speaking subscribers to the YouTube channel, or those who are non-subscribers, this is a presentation that I've done for an Algerian professional association in London, and I focused on Bitcoin, and it was done on the 9th of March. So for those members of the association who wanted to get a copy of the presentation, I decided to post it on YouTube. So basically, I'm targeting anyone who is interested in looking at Bitcoin in a different way. And fortuitously, I guess is the word, if I am not wrong, Bitcoin finally hit a new all-time high on the first day of Ramadan on $72,000 and change. What I'm going to do here, so I talked a little bit about my career in the presentation, but I'm not going to cover that in this PowerPoint presentation. This is basically some of the forecasts that I did back in CMC markets back in the days. This is a bit about me. This is basically the first. This is the first YouTube or the second channel that I did. First video that I did back in 2008 when I promoted my book. And for those who are Arabic speakers, and who want to know, who want to get more of a detail on my career and career path, they can go to this YouTube channel called قناة المال channel, and they can see this presentation or this interview for over 1 hour. So let's just talk about Bitcoin here, and so I'm just going to start with a few understated quotables. So Bill Gates said that it's a technological tour de force. He actually also said, Bill Gates is one of those people, he said, if I'm going to find a way to short it, I will. But so many smart people said the same bearish thing about it, and then changed their mind. A Nobel Prize nominee said, it is the world's most important development. They all need to know about it because it's the world's most important development. And you will know why. It is the most important invention in the history of the world since the internet. Roger Ver, ladies and gentlemen, Roger Ver is a Bitcoin angel investor. He's an investor in Silicon Valley. He's one of the early investors in very, very successful technology-based space. And this is what he said about it. But this is a really interesting quote, because Chris Dixon said that there are three eras of currency. And there's a commodity-based, a politically based, and now a math-based. So a commodity-based currency is a currency that is basically is backed, or it's dependent on commodities, on gold, or the Australian dollar, copper, wheat, the commodities, the Canadian oil, gas, as the Saudi Arabian rial, even though it is tied to the dollar, or the sub-Saharan African currencies are probably tied to copper and to minerals, and Russia, wheat, gold, oil, gas, and aluminum. So there are some currencies that move along with commodities. Then there is a politically based one, which is basically if we are near elections, then the country would tend to print more money or tighten money, whether it's Argentina who are trying to tighten, whether it's Egypt who are injecting liquidity and who have removed the peg. But a politically based, usually it stimulates monetary policy. But there is a video that I did. It's called the half-life of a currency. And what is the half-life of currency? Every single currency around the world, it took approximately 8 to 9 years to lose half of its value, half-life of its currency, half of its value against something that is real, against gold or against Bitcoin, okay? And then there is now a mathematical-based currency, which is Bitcoin. Simplifying Bitcoin, I'm not going to go through this because you can just wake up in your bed and not even open your second eye, and you can go to YouTube and you can tell you what is Bitcoin. But basically what I'm trying to focus is that each transaction, so it's a ledger, each transaction is verified by a network node through a cryptography and recorded on a public ledger called blockchain. So whenever there is a debit, there is a credit. You cannot create money and owe money to two different people. And when there is a transaction is being completed, there is always a record of it in this ledger. Okay? How does Bitcoin make money? The miners, they make money through this reward, which is halved every 4 years, and the next big halving is coming up around 17th of April. And this rewards the miners. Again, this is not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to talk about what is Bitcoin and how we make money. There's many videos, there is explainers, there is simplified explainers. I'm here to tell you what a lot of people don't tell you about. Like, did you know that money is the most powerful social network? Did you know that money is the most powerful social and probably the oldest social network? Okay, it involves exchange of money between people, one or two, many people, and it's continuous. Okay, but Bitcoin remains the strongest computer network, confirming and validating transactions. It has not been tampered with. It has not been hacked. Yes, there has been many scandals in the space of cryptos and Bitcoins, whether it's Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, whether it's the Mt. Gox, whether it's many, and there were thefts, there were hacks, there were even some tweaks made with Ethereum, with Solana, but Bitcoin remains powerful. And just to be, maybe some people are saying, no, the computer experts are saying, no, nothing ever, nothing escapes from being hacked. And interestingly, probably it may take seventh generation supercomputers, many of them to try to hack into it, because basically Bitcoin, it's basically leading, or it's the ability to solve some mathematical algos, some formulas, some mathematical exercises using some powerful graphic cards in order for you to mine it. To hack it, it hasn't been done, and but we're going to go more into that. But Bitcoin, so money is the most powerful social network. Bitcoin is probably the strongest computer network. And Bitcoin combines these two elements, money along the speed of exchange, as powerful as email. So it is not the fastest means. There are other cryptocurrencies that are faster, but as far as a store of value. And before everybody says, no, I cannot buy pizza with Bitcoin. No, you cannot buy pizza with gold. No, you cannot. Bitcoin is not what it is because it is a medium of exchange. It is a store of value. It is like buying, a block of Fifth Avenue or of Mayfair, and there is a limited block because they can only make 21 million of it. Okay? So, Bitcoin is not controlled or is not controlled by a sovereign state. So when there is inflation, they don't need to tighten. When it's a deflation, they're not going to print more, while its supply shall always remain 21 million. And as I'm going to tell you many times during this presentation, that the amount of Bitcoins that have been consumed is around 10 times the amount of Bitcoin that has been produced over the past 30 days. Never in this planet that we are living, there is no such supply and demand imbalance like this one. I've invested in the uranium space. There is some sort of supply-demand imbalance. Maybe oil is a supply-demand. There is less, there is reduced investments and so on and so forth. But as sovereign states resort to fiscal acrobats, as the United States of America is borrowing so much money, they're borrowing so much money in order just to repay the current debt, to the extent that the interest expense is now probably more than over 20% of GDP. So this is a big deal. Let's say an individual. In the United States, a lot of people, they get a credit card in order to pay another credit card. It's called transferring balance. Okay? And then they keep on borrowing in order to repay. This is what the US government is doing. Okay? To the extent that their interest expense, especially when it's high, it is actually more than what, or it's equal to what they Okay, so it's fixed supply. You have to keep this. It's scarcity, scarcity, scarcity. Anybody that says no, this is Bitcoin. People, it's going up because people are just buying it. It is scarcity. The wall of money that is coming is 10 times what is being produced. But at the same time, you cannot produce it forever. And I'll tell you how many have been produced. But before I do that, Larry Fink, who is the head of Blackrock, which is the largest asset manager in the world, they have over $9 trillion under management. He's practically the US government. He basically said in October 2017, he said, Bitcoin is an index for money laundering. And as you very well know, 6 years later, he changed his tune and he basically said that crypto is digitizing gold. It is digitizing gold. He basically said Bitcoin is no different than what gold represented for thousands of years. It is an asset class that protects you. Of course, he changed his tune because he found a way to make money out of it, but he actually talked about it and he changed his mind. This is the market, the smartest man or the most powerful man who is the head of a company under which they have the biggest number of ETFs and asset management. Okay, so basically, just to give you, for those who are not in finance, basically, each time you go to Apple, if you go to Apple or if you go to Tesla or if you go to Fidelity, you will see one of the largest owners of all of these companies is usually BlackRock. Market capitalization perspective. What is the market capitalization? It is actually Bitcoin. It is the value of Bitcoin multiplied by how much supply. So it's around 19 million. How much is it? Well, a few days ago, it was 1.3 trillion. The market capitalization of $1.3 trillion. What is market capitalization? Well, just to give you a perspective, Microsoft, which is here, it's the highest capitalized, is the company with the highest market capitalization in the world, but it's the second because the first one is, like somebody rightly guessed in the Algerian Association, it is Aramco, and I think probably the capitalization, if I'm not mistaken, is around 5 or 6 trillion. Some people said the 7, but yeah. So Microsoft, $3 trillion. Apple's been falling. Actually, did you hear that Warren Buffett is actually reducing his holdings in Apple? I'm not going to talk about, this is not about the end of Apple or the beginning of Apple. This is about, and it's not about Nvidia, which is basically cornering the market of the GPUs thanks to the AI revolution, and now they surpass the $2 trillion cap. So you see this horizontal level here. This is the 2 trillion cap, and then there's Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, and Nvidia. Amazon, still not yet to 2 trillion. Google, but this is where Bitcoin is. It is here. It's actually right now probably is around 1.4 trillion. So it has broken above Meta, Facebook, and left Tesla in the dark. So there's a question. So I'll talk about, let me talk about this. So, and if you really think about it, if there's around $11 trillion of gold in Earth, which is about to be, or that is producible, and Bitcoin is around 1.3 trillion. So it doesn't take much for Bitcoin, probably. It needs to go up 7 times that much before it surpasses the value of gold. The change of Bitcoin since January 2022. Since January 2022, Bitcoin is up 43%. Okay, since January 2023, it is up 300%. And since January 2024, since the beginning of the year, it is up 51%. Bitcoin versus gold. Why do I compare versus gold? And this is a way. This part of the presentation is probably for those people who were buying Bitcoin and then they got stuck in July 2023, and when it hit $31,000, why it didn't break above the neckline resistance. So I compared it to gold. So basically, and there is the rationale for this article that I wrote about it October 29. But my ability and my way of looking at the market and comparing things to other things, not just the dollar, didn't start in October 23. It actually started, and there's a video about it, but it started actually when I wrote my book. Is it here? No, actually, I didn't mention it in this part of the presentation. But back in July 2023, when I was in Spain, when I was in Madrid, I said when Bitcoin reached to $16 an ounce, the equivalent of $16 an ounce versus gold, that was a major level. So this is part of my YouTube channel. But when you want to compare Bitcoin, so this is an old chart. This is a chart from Friday. Or I believe last Thursday, the 8th or the 9th of March. And when Bitcoin was at $68,000, look what it did against NASDAQ. Bitcoin divided by NASDAQ, it broke two major technical levels. It broke a key horizontal resistance and a trend line resistance. Okay, as I'm talking to you right now, I'm seeing NASDAQ is down, but Bitcoin here. So again, the high that we've reached this Monday is what is it? Is it 72? Yeah, the high was $72,200. And as we speak, it is around 71,700. Bitcoin divided by gold. So the idea was that whenever gold, and this is for those of you who are trading or more of a short term. When Bitcoin reached above $16 an ounce, it was always a pivotal level. This is part of the presentation. I didn't focus so much about this in the association for those of you who were on the day. But this was so important because whenever it got to 16, whenever it broke it, Bitcoin went all the way up. And whenever it fell, when it fell from, let's say, 35 to 15, it stopped at 16. It continued, and it consolidated. And when I say 16, that means, so in this level, Bitcoin was around $30,000, but it divided by gold, it was 16 an ounce, okay? So basically what you're seeing, and obviously when it's 30, so gold was around 1,600. So it was around 2,000. So 30,000 divided by 2,000, we get 16. And then we went to a new high. And as we broke, yes, you look at the support, you look at the levels, at the technical analysis, what is going to determine the ability to support or to break resistance. And finally, when you broke 16, you went all the way down. And here is the thing. Do you remember this in July 2000? Do you remember in July of last year, of last summer, when stocks and everything went up, and then they stopped in July, and then they came down? Okay, do you remember that? And there was an inverted head and shoulder here in Bitcoin, and we thought it was going to break, but it stopped. Well, and we didn't know why it stopped. But it decided to stop here because, once again, it was respecting the $16 an ounce. It stopped it, it failed it, and then he went back down in November 2023 when everything went down, the stock markets went down, and then the Gaza-Israel war broke out on October 7th, and then basically when that happened, stocks did go down, then gold went up, so gold went down, but then as Bitcoin pushed up, once it pushed up above this trend line resistance, a technical analysis guy would say, well, we broke above the trend line resistance, so that's it, we're pushing higher. But once we broke this pivotal 16 level, it was all out. And once we broke it, we still did not break it above NASDAQ. But then when we went all the way, and now around 30. Bitcoin now is breaking to almost new high against the NASDAQ. Why do I do NASDAQ? Because NASDAQ is the powerful index. It's the one that contains super microcomputers. It contains a technology index. It contains powerful giants that tripled in 3 or 4 weeks in this year. It is up against the Dow. It up against the S&P. So the next Bitcoin halving is projected to occur in April 16th or the 17th. So it happens every 4 years. And this is all, you all know all of this, okay? And that means that the rate of supply of production is going to slow. And as it slows, and the ETFs, as I'm going to show you in the next slide, they're going to continue to buy and buy and buy. This awesome, this terrific, this extraordinary, this intimidating in a way supply-demand imbalance is what is going to lead to the increase in the price. Bitcoin funds pull in money at a record pace. This is from the All-In podcast, and this is basically on Friday. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETFs, exchange traded fund, It basically drew the fastest, it was the fastest ever exchange traded fund. I think there are over 1,500 of them, if I'm not mistaken. It's the first exchange traded fund to draw more than 10 billion. So this is a little bit out of date, but there's over 20 billion of inflows into the new ETFs. This one is called the GBTC. Why does it, for those of you who are in the know, who are in the details, I want to know, why is the GBTC ETF, the only ETF, this is the oldest ETF that was started in 2013, why does it show outflows? There was a company in the crypto space called Genesis, and it went bankrupt. And when it went bankrupt, the court told them, well, you have to sell your Bitcoin in a periodic manner. So their Bitcoins were in GBTC, so they continue to sell them, So this is leading the inflows, the inflows into Bitcoin ETFs. As you know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 9 ETFs were introduced in January. So these guys continue to have inflows, but if you take all these inflows minus these outflows, and you will still get around 10 billion, okay? But overall, all of these guys have drawn 20 billion, which is amazing. $20 billion. Okay, but how many Bitcoin is that? Because we said they can only make up to 21 million Bitcoins, and they made 93% of Bitcoins. The rest they're gonna have to be made over the next 20 or 30 years. So over 395,000 Bitcoins were bought by the new ETFs, okay? This is a sort of, and this from a nice website here called, or a Twitter called Timeless Bitcoin, and it shows you the infographics. This is when it was 38 days. Now it's been 41 days. But as you know, what this tells you, and what this tells you, is that whether you're looking at this chart, we are buying 10 times as much as is being produced. On a daily basis, 7.5 times. Okay? How many had been produced? 93%. At $60,000 Bitcoin, they said it was too expensive. When it dropped to 40,000, let's wait a bit more. These are the famous quotes that you will hear in a dinner party, in an iftar party, in a wedding, in the plane, talking to your cousins, when it reached 16,000, oh, it's obvious, it's going back to 5,000. And when it rebounded from 30,000 to 40,000 and it stayed there for 2 months, they said, oh, you see, it's already running out of steam. Surely it's heading back to 12,000. And when it returned to 50,000, they said, it's too expensive. And then when it got to 70,000, it's a bubble, it's a scam. I made a tweet a few days ago and I said, the anti-Bitcoin crowd, they make a valid argument about, wait a minute, you waited 2 years to break even, because I personally bought Bitcoin. The last purchase that I bought Bitcoin was a few years ago. I bought it at $45,000, around $45,000. And then it dropped, and it went 15. But here's the thing. Same as those who bought the top of January 2018. Do you remember the top of January 2018 of Bitcoin when it hit 19,900? Well, afterward, it dropped to even 3,000 with the COVID. But guess what? It took 3 years to break even. It was December 2020. So it took 3 years for Bitcoin to go down and to go back to 19,990, because the first time it broke 20,000 was in December 2020. And then guess what? It surged 250% over the ensuing year. Some people said, oh, I don't like Bitcoin. It is wrong because it's very bad from a risk adjusted return basis. Well, even when you take the 30%, the volatility, the earnings and the return is still powerful. It is a store of value. You don't buy it on leverage. You do not buy it on leverage, or you don't sell it on leverage. You buy it cash one-on-one. If you buy it on leverage, you'll get it right the first time, second time, and you will see. Why does it go down by 5, 10, 15, 20%? Why does it often do that? Because of the liquidation. The liquidated amounts, the people who bought, and then they were forced to sell, and then the price would just drop sharply. Okay? And so basically, look at this. This is a message to my WhatsApp group. I have a WhatsApp broadcast group in English and Arabic, and I basically said, listen, guys, Bitcoin hit. I just did this a few hours ago, and It is a Bitcoin. It is a WhatsApp broadcast group that I have. You can see all the details about it, but you have to have at least a year and a half traders experience to trade. Okay, this is basically, again, this is my phone, right? And this is the Arabic, and this is the English. Okay, this is the English broadcast group here. Okay, this message here that you see is there. Okay, so the last messages last Friday was about gold. We went in gold. We bought gold. We did very well because of the 200-day moving average extension. But pay attention to this. Bitcoin hits, the new ETFs have attracted over 20 billion over the past 40 days. Okay, only 35,000 new Bitcoins have been bought in the same, have been mined. This was supposed to be mined over the same period. Okay, so you can see this is almost 10 times less. Okay, so it is about scarcity. It is about scarcity. Tell me about any market where consumption is 10 times the production. And the same thing what I said in Arabic to the broadcast group. And this is the same thing what I said here about what they said when it was 60. And for those of you who speak Arabic, عندما كان بيتكوين $60,000 قالوا غالي. عندما نزل إلى $40,000 قالوا خلينا ننتظر شوي. عندما كسر تحت 30,000 when it fell below 30,000 وبعدين وصل 15 قالوا لا خلاص شكله راح إلى 5,000. وعندما ارتد إلى 30,000 كان زعلان بأنه فاته السعر الرخيص فقال لا هذا نصب هذا حرام وأكيد رايح يرجع إلى 5,000. blah 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 etc etc. Do you want to be a commentator? This is هل ترغب أن تستثمر في أذكى اختراع تكنولوجي? Would you like to invest and participate in the most awesome, extraordinary invention, technological, mathematical, financial invention? Or would you like to invest in that? Or would you like to be a commentator? Oh, it went up. Oh, it went down. What do you want to do? You can do both. هل ترغب أن تستثمر في أذكى اختراع تكنولوجي مالي اقتصادي أم تفضل تبقى معلق روايات أو متفرج تحركات سعرية? You can go on Twitter and you can laugh at people when it goes down because you didn't participate on it. Or you can go up and you say, oh, I feel so bad. And then you end up buying when it goes up at 120,000. The fear of missing out will get you to buy something at the top. An intelligent institution, a consulting, an accounting, an audit firm called Ernst & Young. I took this from Invest Answers. Invest Answers is a YouTube channel by a Swedish guy who is just, he breathes and he eats and he drinks Bitcoin. Amazing channel. I really, really recommend it. He basically put in this thing and he said, Ernst & Young, using the mathematical multiplier and the eventual when they start giving allocations, when the Aladdin system of the pensions, of the allocations of Blackrock starts to say, well, we're going to allocate 0.2% of Bitcoin. They say based on that, they say $600,000 to 1.2 million. I have a target, slightly less than that, slightly above 200. But I'm not going to go into the details because, again, I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm just a logical guy. And I'm not a libertarian. I'm not an anti-tax person. I'm not, if there's any problem, I'll take my gun in the street. I'll take matters in my hand. It's about math and it's about economics and it's about finance. This is what Bitcoin and scarcity. Look at this. The price, the white one, is Bitcoin. The orange is the addresses, the active addresses. This is something interesting. When Bitcoin hit an all-time high, the active addresses are all-time high. And then it happened here, all-time high. Now we are an all-time high. This is slightly old. And the active addresses are not here. Why is this? Listen to me. Pay attention. Guys, Bitcoin is an all-time high right now. And guess what? The Google searches around the world is nowhere near the high. It was here and here because a lot of people who got burnt in Bitcoin here and who got Bitcoin here, okay, they were once bitten, they were forever shy, they never got back. So the retail space is late coming in. It is the old money. Sorry, it is the institutional money that is coming in that is moving the market. Bitcoin and macro crypto summer. I got this chart from a great website, one of the best resources channels for financial learning. It's a sort of an online-based educational TV. I was invited a few times there. I got invited to speak about Bitcoin in 2017. There is a video. If you go to Real Vision and type in ashrafladi.com, I did some technical analysis and a video about Bitcoin back in summer 2017 when it was around $5,000, $7,000. the excruciatingly amazing nature of this chart, it shows you the order of things, and it shows you the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin. So last year when Bitcoin went up, it was the green. We were in what you call the crypto spring. Now the last time that happened was 4 years ago, and look how it went up. And 4 years before, it was there, but no, it was this. But right now we are in the fall, in the autumn. Right now we are entering the summer. And as we enter the summer, it's going to basically push higher and higher. And this coincides with the halving, with the presidential cycle. And there is Raoul Pal, who of Real Vision, who talks a lot about these things. This is his macro specialist who cover this thing in detail. So you can see that and if you want to summarize this, the average bull market in Bitcoin lasted around 3 years. The average bear market lasted around 1.5 years. Here, winter, here, winter, here, winter. That means if this trend continues, Bitcoin would hit probably an all-time high probably this year. Obviously it is hitting all time, but I think the ultimate one that we're going to see is probably October, November of next year, 2025. What do we do with that? What happens if we hit 100,000 before the halving, after the halving? These are all other questions. You're more than welcome to subscribe to my channel, and it's a free channel, YouTube, and so, or you can come into my WhatsApp group and I can tell you exactly what I think things are going to be. But the idea here is not just to buy Bitcoin and just to do something else. It's you diversify within the Bitcoin space. And I showed the WhatsApp broadcast group what we did in the Bitcoin miners in BTC, or you buy also Coinbase. As I'm talking to you right now, Coinbase, which if you don't want to buy Bitcoin, you can buy a stock of a company that goes up with Bitcoin, and Coinbase is a powerful one. When I bought it, I told the WhatsApp broadcast group I was buying it around 150, 170. I think right now, Coinbase is at 270, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, Coinbase is basically the second largest exchange where you can trade Bitcoin. The first one is Binance. I actually have accounts with both. So this is an interesting thing that the macro investor here from Real Vision, they basically said that if we're probably going to if we think that inflation is going to be pushed up, and the reason why gold is all-time high and inflation is all-time high, not because there's so many channels out there, they're saying the reason that gold is up all-time high and Bitcoin all-time high because they think something bad is going to happen in the world. Probably not, but the main reason is because the Federal Reserve is actually going to sleep and is going to shut down the rate hike cycle. They basically said we're not going to raise rates anymore. There's many signs that inflation is pushing back up. Anytime you see the market, there is an evidence that the market is expecting inflation to creep back up. Okay, but it's not dealt with like it was in 2022 when interest rates were pushed up aggressively. Then that is good for the risk on, and it's bad for the dollar, good for gold, and good for Bitcoin. Okay, and the question is, well, what if really it spikes back up? So as we speak, tomorrow, March the 12th, we're going to have the next CPI. The last CPI that came out on February the 12th, the Dow Jones fell to 800 points, the market crashed. So if we have an upside surprise, that means the Fed is going to have to be obliged to raise rate. But the bigger scheme of things, which was I said to the group, is that I don't think it is not in the interest of these countries to raise interest rates because of the interest expense, because right now they cannot fight it as hard as they did back in 2000, back in the 1980s, because the debt was 4 times less than it is right now, debt as a percentage of GDP. But more importantly, they still want to push inflation higher, because when you let inflation creep higher, it helps you as an issuer, as a debtor nation, to monetize the debt. And I could speak for 5 hours about these last 3 words that I mentioned. There is a last video that I made in my YouTube channel is in the shorts. It's in Arabic, but you can actually understand it. And basically it's basically called the 200-day moving extension. And last week or a few weeks ago, I calculated Bitcoin. The short-term goal is Bitcoin is 88,000. But because things have changed and because of the displacement of the 200-day moving average, I think it's probably going to be around 93, 94,000. Okay, this is my YouTube channel. This is the WhatsApp broadcast group in English and in Arabic. There's a lot of fake accounts on Twitter that take my name at underscore LID, and in the Telegram, but this is the official one. You will know because it's joined January 2009. I'm not big on Instagram. It's mainly Twitter. And this is the channel. This is the website, ashrafladi.com. And so this is my website here, and you can see it. This is the website, ashrafladi.com. It was, if you want to know what was written in 2008, you can go here, the intermarket thoughts, and then you can go to the arc. Yeah, you can. So you just go here and you type in archives. It takes you all the way to 2008, okay? Because the titles per month, this thing goes back to 2008. Why? That's when I wrote my book, and which got a lot of plaudits from barons, from the Financial Times, and this is the book. You'll find it here. This is the old look of the book. This is the new book of the book. No, it hasn't been revised. Like I tell people, if I had Bloomberg, which I have now, I would have completed this book in 3 months and not in 13 months. But this is it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have benefited from this presentation. Okay, and again, all the information is in my website. Good luck to everyone. Ramadan Mubarak, and تقبل الله صيامكم, و take care and all the best. Salam.